Okay, Deven Choksey is now with us. Deven, first reaction, on the Tata Chemical or Tata Consumer coming under one roof. It was expected that under the new chairmanship in Tata Sons, there would be, a lot more businesses that would be similar businesses being consolidated into one group.
So yes, Pankaj, I think this is a right move and probably I think long-awaited one. You require the alignment of all the business units, I think, into proper verticals in which I think they belong to. Currently, Tata Global would have a different management and Tata Chemical would have a different management. And in the process, I think they are neither getting the advantage of the valuation, which otherwise I think they should be getting from the kind of size of business that they have brought in. Plus, I think the focus will help them in creating a larger size unit, which probably I think they have considered to some other what you call peers in the industry. So from that perspective, if you look at it, I think it's a right move. It's a strategically good move. We will have to wait for more details as to how the business model will eventually emerge for Tata Global Beverages. Because on one side, I think they have got the coffee and QSR related format on which I think they are working right now. And on the other side, I think if the consumer product business coming along, how exactly I think this unit will be operated ahead. I think that's something which needs to understand from the group in detail. But in general, I think in principle, this particular move is the right move, I would think so.
Right. So, when we look at the new company, it will be named as Tata Consumer Product. Do you think a lot will have to be done for branding, or branding under one roof of Tata is sufficient enough for all their products?
Generally, I've seen that I think Tata name works well, I think. So I don't think that I think major amount of effort would be required. And as such individual products that they have been having individual brands which are quite prominent brands, well accepted in the market. So I would probably like to think that yes, I think things are working in the right direction as far as the branding is concerned. But again, as I said, let's wait for details to come out of this particular subject as to what kind of effort they like to do. But as such, I see the product branding is quite well in place as far as the company is concerned.
Right. Deven, now, of course, with such big deal or such big statements coming in, the management would be speaking whether on the con call or, probably later. How would you, look at it? How would you essentially, what sort of comments would you look when the management speaks?
See, I would like to see what exactly is the thinking process behind growing the business of consumer brand. You already have different companies in the consumer brand business, and I think in the FMCG space, I think you've got many names to talk about. This becomes, I think, an important portfolio as far as I think the Tata Group is concerned, and which they would probably try and compare with, I think, likes of ITC, likes of HUL, as far as I think their product segments are concerned. So what is the direction that they are assuming in this area of activity? I think that is one thing which definitely I would like to understand. And how exactly I think this activity will be further funded and grown, I think it requires to be understood. So yes, I think normal understanding of organic growth, probably some inorganic growth strategy also, I think one would like to understand from the company management when they announce this.
Right. We just stay on with us, Deven. We have a few experts more now joining us. Anand Tandon is with us, as well as Sanjay is with. Sanjay Manyal is also with us. Sanjay, what's your first reaction on the deal?
So it was a bit expected only. Now if I just see the Tata Chemicals, the consumer business, which has Tata Salt and the pulses business as of now. Though the Tata Salt is a mature kind of a business growing at a single-digit kind of a volumes. Similarly, Tata Tea is also a kind of a mature business only. But what basically can happen after this demerger is that the India part of the domestic part of the business will become much bigger under the Tata brand, and everything will come under the Tata Tata Global brand or Tata brand. So, one good thing is that the heaviness of the overseas business in Tata Global Beverage will reduce. Earlier they used to have 30% kind of a business coming from the India businesses. That will be much higher now. And then probably they can venture out into the different categories and different businesses also. So what I understand that probably this is a positive news. However, we still need to understand the strategy and where all the company would be able to venture out, whether they really leverage the brand into the different categories also.
Right. Sanjay, just request you to stay on. Anand Tandon is also with us. Anand, what's your first reaction?
Well, it helps to clear up the structure a little bit because you have different businesses of the group in different companies. But beyond that, I think we'll still have to wait to see how the cookie crumbles because unfortunately, I don't think that we're talking about moving the manufacturing, etc. So, how that will work on the balance sheet is something that I still have to figure out.
But when you look at the consolidation of businesses, this is something which always is something which markets like, consolidating similar businesses into one roof so that a proper value can be assigned?
Well, not just the value. So first of all, when you have a commodity business along with something which claims to be a brand, then obviously it becomes a little difficult. But also, and more importantly, it's a question of shelf space. As a single company, if you have multiple products with the same salespeople servicing a set of retailers, you are likely to be able to persuade the retailers that you should be able to give them better shelf space and a better visibility. And that's very important in FMCG because you've got products from different companies and without enough, share of the shelf, you'll not be able to make the same kind of impact on the consumer. So by putting it all together, what will happen is that the relationships also at the retail level will get consolidated. And hopefully that will allow the group to be able to also have a larger share of the shelf in retail.
Sanjay, as you told us, of course, you also need to look into details and deals have just started to pour in. But this is on expected lines. It is something which investors were waiting for.
Yes, so this was on an expected line. I think we had multiple news articles regarding this fact that they are looking to sort of merge the consumer or consolidate the consumer business under one roof. So there's no doubt about it that by bringing in the everything together in the consumer business, then probably it will help in terms of the synergies. Considering that they're probably able to leverage the distribution network of each other much better in a much better way. And obviously the consolidated ad spend will be could be much higher because what I understand the Tata Salt is a highly profitable brand for them, and obviously the reduction of the overseas business will be much positive because overall in the scheme of things which used to be 65% plus for Tata Global Beverage will be much lower now, and the lower growth which we used to witness or the geographies which were making losses, I think they proactively in last 1 year have reduced or divested some of the geographies where they are actually not making any money. So we have seen that in the Russia business, in the China business, Tata Global has divested those businesses. So I think there is some plan which is there, and probably they are going that way only.
Okay. Hi, Deven. This is Mubina as well joining into the conversation. Let's just talk about numbers. We're talking about 1.14 shares of Tata Global for every held in Tata Chemicals. Do you believe that would be a fair valuation? We're talking about 1,700 crore rupees of annual revenue of the consumer business now going to Tata Global. So do you think that 1.14 shares of Tata Global would be a fair, number to attribute for this consumer business?
Very honestly, I think I will have to look at the numbers and probably, I think, make a comment on the valuation perspective. So we'll reserve it for some other time.
Yeah, what about you? Would you be having just any back of the envelope calculation on the valuation bit? Sanjay?
No, I don't think as of now we will be working on the numbers because I think this is again a demerge entity numbers also. So there will be, what I understand as of now, that there will be an entity will be demerged and then further the swap ratio will be there. So numbers have to be worked out on that.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's also then, talk about the fact that this FMCG business that is now being consolidated. I think Anand Tandon as well joins me now on the show. Anand, how do you see this? How do you see the way going forward? We have seen the salts business and the pulses business under Tata Chemicals struggle a tad bit. Yes, volumes have increased, but then it has faced its own problems. I mean, we had a degrowth come by in the FY19 revenues, in the consumer products business here and there. FY18 as well, it struggled a little bit. But under Tata Global now that you have the entire business put together, do you think they'll benefit in any way? Do you think things will improve over there?
Well, there will be certainly a more focused approach in terms of FMCG. But that said, I think the question is, what are you going to do with a portfolio which is very heavily commodity based? And if you really want to be a consumer company, you cannot be struggling with a 10% margin and things like that. So you have to be looking at places where you can add value to the product. And purely, cereals and pulses and things like that don't necessarily add. They can add top line, but they don't necessarily improve the quality of the business. So what I was expecting is that post this, you will actually have a strategy laid out whereby we'll see not just the top line, being pushed, but also products which can be introduced where there is greater margin and greater value addition that the company is doing, and that is what will really drive the business going forward. I mean, other than the coffee business, the Starbucks kind of business. Other than that, there is nothing much that the Tata Group does right now in both these companies put together, where there is significant value add from over the cost of raw material.
That's a good point. They're all commoditized businesses, no doubt. So, Deven, what Tata Chemicals could not do, essentially premiumizing these products of sorts. Do you think Tata Global will be better equipped to do that, to remove the real potential? Because Tata Salts and all of these are, legacy names. So, do you think they'll be able to unlock the potential and not just add to the top line, but even to the margin as well by making more value accretive products?
In case of Tata Chemicals, when you look at, I think, how exactly they have been operating their businesses, I think you have a significant amount of, portfolio also coming in from the cross-holding investments in the different group companies. So obviously, I think that is not giving you a direction as far as, growing the consumer business is concerned. The consumer business becomes one of the units within Tata Chemicals in this kind of a situation. Now, when you transfer the consumer business, into the Tata Global, where I think the entire portfolio of consumer products is basically taken care of, including QSR format, in which I think they operate joint venture with Starbucks. I think this is important because I think the full resources can be deployed fully, and accordingly, I think the investments can be made for the generating the kind of return on investments at the same time. So valuation also could become much more proper than remaining into the pure play Tata Chemical at this point of time. In my viewpoint, I think it's a strategy which is a well played out strategy. I think their focus should be on a higher amount of growth within the FMCG basket of products. And ultimately, I think they should be in a position to power this company, the consumer product company, with higher amount of resources and the management attention. So certainly, I think it's a little delayed strategy, but I think well played out now, as far as the Tata Group is concerned.
Okay. Sanjay, Tata Global has also had it tough. I mean, it's been dealing with its own set of problems. Of course, non-branded business anyway, but in some parts, even the branded business, whether it's in UK, whether it's with respect to the Tetley brand, so on and so forth. I mean, like you as well mentioned, they were selling off Russia, they were selling off Europe, but now they have, of course, this bit of the business added onto the portfolio. Do you think that for some time now, things may be a bit sticky, it may be a bit challenging before it can turn better?
So I think they already have started working on the plan that they are sort of divesting those geographies which are loss making, which are not growing, and Russia, China is one of those examples. I think their India business has been growing at a single digit. Though most of the FMCG business we have seen the volume growth has been in the single digit only. So I think the India business is growing in a single digit, and that probably still has some potential. You still have some unorganized market which can be tapped into the tea space. But I think the more importantly, what I think they will be having a higher cash flows, and that probably could lead to the entry into those categories where probably the related categories and those specific food categories where the potential is much higher, where the possibilities of entering and gaining quick market share is possible with the kind of strength they have in terms of in terms of the balance sheet now, one need to understand that probably will become a 9,000 plus odd crore kind of a company, which is not too far from the the PNG Consolidated and the the Patanjali for that matter, or even Britannia of it. So they are putting both the business together. They are much bigger now, 9,000 crore as I mentioned.
Okay, Anand, let me go across to you. What's the first thing that Tata Global should do that perhaps Tata Chemicals did not do when it comes to this consumer products business? I remember, I know you mentioned that you're commoditizing the entire business and you're putting all the commodities under one basket. But what do you think the first thing Tata Global should do after taking all these products into the umbrella?
Well, obviously the distribution needs to be consolidated. I guess that is what is going to happen. And then there has to be a bit more focus in terms of, what are the pipeline really. But I think, what we should also be anticipating is that Tata Chemicals, like Deven mentioned a while back, has a lot of investments, and perhaps, one more level of spinning off should perhaps be tried, where you can spin off the investment business and perhaps take in one of the investment companies of the group, perhaps even Tata Investment Corp or something like that, so that the business itself doesn't necessarily have its entire cash flow locked up in investments which are strategic and therefore cannot be sold, but has the ability to generate some cash and expand its own portfolio. So essentially, the question is simply focus. For a long time, the Tata Group, other than TCS and perhaps Tata Elxsi, could be divided into two. One, Tata Value Add and Tata Value Destroyers. And right now, both Tata Chemicals and Tata Global, I think, fall in this latter category. So I think a lot of work needs to be done in both of them.
Okay, all right. Deven, is that something you believe as well, that maybe one more round of spin-off? And also, what will be the key challenge for Tata Global to figure out after, consolidating this Tata Chemical, the consumer business? What will be the key challenge for them?
I don't know, I think, but the amount of, effort that they'll have to make in registering their presence in different product verticals would be significant. The food product vertical is one particular vertical within FMCG baskets, in which the company is basically dominant and I think is playing with a good brand share, I think, in different categories. The other product categories within the FMCG, I think they are required to be looked at if they want to grow in that particular segment. Now, that is what I was referring to earlier, that do they have this particular strategy already in place, or do they want to create one and they can probably announce thereafter? What could be the systematic approach towards that? Look at how ITC has done. I think for last 10 years, I think they created from nowhere different verticals within the FMCG space within their company. And they have not made money either, I think, for many years. So given that kind of a situation where you have to create one new category, whether I think you would be making money at the same time. If you are not, then probably you are looking at some kind of inorganic possibility in acquiring some of the brands and create the portfolio in different verticals. All of these issues are going to be important, and I think how exactly company plays out those strategies will have to be seen. So as I said before, I think I would like to see what management's mind is on this subject and whether they are prepared to share the entire mind on this subject at word go.
Taking out time for us, Sanjay. Always good to get perspective. Anand, thanks so much.